Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 113 of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Linda.
Hey, I'm Seth.
And I'm Chris.
And today we've got kind of a potpourri of science fiction stuff to talk about.
Oh, potpourri.
That's what I would call it.
Not to be confused with a poopery.
Yeah. So I think we've got to start off with a little gaming news, Seth, with Nintendo. What's going on there? You want to bring us up to speed?
Well, I guess so. This would have been 2 weeks ago. This was this week at time of recording, but since we're recording delayed, we just saw the Nintendo Direct, the newest Nintendo Direct. So this is their first quarter Nintendo Direct where they kind of lay out the big games coming for the year. And there is a fair amount of news related to that. Some of it's really exciting for me. I imagine that other things are more exciting for other people. But we are going to be getting quite a few new games.
So are you primarily a Nintendo gamer, or because I know you have a PlayStation as well?
I do most of my gaming on Nintendo or on my Switch, and also my 3DS now. I refound that, and that's got a lot of good stuff on it yet still. Quite a nice little system.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about it.
How about you, Chris? You're quite a gamer too, I think, right?
Yeah, I haven't so much lately. I'm kind of across all platforms, but I do have a Switch and I also have a 3DS, and they're both great. So,
all right.
And I mean, I do play PlayStation as well. It's just nice. The portability of the Switch for me means I game on it a whole lot more. So we can be watching something in the evening, and I can pull my Switch out and get a little gaming in at the same time.
Sort of like Katie Linda on her cell phone when we're watching movies. and then she's like, wait a minute, what happened there?
Boring movies.
Boring movies.
For me, Switch was portability, and when I traveled a lot, that's what I would use on planes or long car rides or whatever. So that's kind of what I did. So I haven't obviously traveled a lot in the last couple of years. So I haven't played it nearly as much as I'd like to. So, but yeah, it's something that when I want to be gaming on the go or something, and I'm going to be sitting here playing for a while. If I'm not doing an audiobook, I'm gaming on a Switch.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to in the new features, Seth, that were announced?
Well, I'm looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, probably the most. So here's Kotaku. Kotaku has a pretty good... I mean, we don't know much about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is probably my favorite game on the Switch, especially if you just look at hours played. I had just started playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 again before this announcement, not expecting anything. Like I didn't think Chronicles 3 was anywhere near, but I have played 381 hours of Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Cow.
Wow.
And and I have only really put maybe 10 hours into my second playthrough of the game. So about at least 350 hours of that is on my first playthrough.
You could probably be a professional airline pilot if you devoted that time to.
Now, I am
Flying.
going to caveat that by saying that I think that Xenoblade Chronicles' timer keeps track of the total time you have the game open, whether your Switch is whether you're actively playing or it's on pause.
That's actually only like 16 days, so that's not that much when you think about it in days.
It's
a lot. It's a lot to log in a game of that nature. I mean, usually lengthier ones, 80, 100 hours is pretty common. But
this is just a handheld device, right?
I could run and get it, but it's
Like
basically a tablet with a couple controllers on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, how much of one of those little things put you back?
The
is it $3.99 or $4.99?
Well, there's an OLED model and there are three models. There's a light, which you can't plug into your TV. It's just a handheld device. There's the standard model, which is has the controllers that come off and you can plug it into your TV. That one is $300, and then they came out with an OLED Switch with an upgraded screen and some other hardware improvements, and that one's $350.
Okay, yeah,
it's
that's still not that bad, I guess.
No, it's a very reasonable price. Like if you
for as capable as it is, yeah.
I'm trying to
find them.
Trying to find something for your mother.
Well, no, I'm trying to find something to equal the amount of money you've spent in droids. So that might be one of the deals.
Hey, Linda, I have an offer for you after this. If you want,
where's my Seth mute button?
So I also see here, Seth, they have another Fire Emblem coming out. So I'm a Fire Emblem guy myself, and I see they have a Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Heroes coming. So I'm actually looking forward to that.
This is more along the line, like Fire Emblem Warriors. This isn't your standard Fire Emblem experience. This is one of the what's called a Musou game, where so it's a type of game where you control a character, kind of third party, but you're fighting huge armies, but also your character is able to pretty much murder hundreds of people at the same time.
A plus.
Well, not murder, but it's a warfare game that's kind of centered around certain characters being heroes, kind of like what you would imagine the kind of classical warfare with the heroes and the enemy generals who would equal entire armies all on their own.
So there's a fireball option, is what you're saying.
Everything is the fireball option. Everything in a Musou game. Like, I haven't played too much of them. I played a little bit. The gameplay hasn't appealed to me yet, but I need to give things another try.
Holy crap.
So like 100 people will be running at you, and you'll let loose a single attack that decimates the battlefield.
Boom.
Makes you feel like a badass is basic. Yep. You feel like a badass is the kind of game this is. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
But not Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That's completely different.
Yeah, I see they also have a Chrono Cross announced coming to this.
Yes, that's another thing I'm excited about is a re-release of Chrono Cross. A Square Enix game that I didn't get to play because I was too busy with college at the time.
Oh,
I know.
Oh, no.
I only got to play a little bit of this, but what I actually have is like that theme song that's been stuck in my head for the last
long time
20 years now. So Chrono Cross has some amazing music in it.
It does.
Cool.
Really, a lot of the Square games, they have a couple really good composers who make just phenomenal music. Nobuo Uematsu.
Yeah, I believe that's it.
Yeah, Nobuo Uematsu is who usually writes the Final Fantasy music.
Yep.
I don't know if he's still writing or has moved on into more of a inspirational role, I guess, and other people are writing the music. But that one composer, I've got tons and tons of his music because
to give you guys scale, they put on events. I've been to one here in Omaha that are dedicated to his music.
And I've been to one too. I've been to one too, and he actually will come to a lot of those and go on the tours and to direct the music. And they'll have scenes from the video games up in the background as that music is playing, and it's absolutely wonderful.
Yep, I have been to those as well. It is great.
Yasunori
really
Mitsuda. Yeah, Yasunori Mitsuda is the man who composed the music for Chrono Cross and several other of Square Enix's kind of not Final Fantasy, but still RPGs. He did the original music for Xenogears.
Wow.
And he's still a composer for the Xenoblade Chronicles, which is part of why I love that music to death.
Nice.
Like, that series is almost worth playing just to hear the different music. So one of the things about Xenoblade is that it's set in really kind of alien environments. So the first Xenoblade Chronicles takes place on a world that is basically two enormous titans. Just humongous beings that died fighting each other, and then various races colonized the dead bodies of these titans.
Oh, wow.
They live in the Titans?
On their bodies and in their bodies. Like they died eons ago fighting each other, and there's
like petrified?
Kind of. But they're so big that like these titans are so big that while you're playing and you're walking around, you can look up and see the shadow of it looming above you for the whole game map is you're like, okay, I'm on the knee of this thing now.
Oh God. Huh.
Wow.
And in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it's a different world, but a little bit of the same kind of thing. The entire world is covered in what's called the Cloud Sea, and the only habitable areas are living titans that sail the Cloud Sea. So these enormous creatures that are just so big, they have jungles and different biomes across the entire surface.
What?
Or there's one where you're only partially on the surface and you have to go inside the Titan where it's just an absolutely enormous frozen cavern.
Wouldn't gravitational forces compact it into a ball shape?
You're talking about anime and logic and physics, and none of those things have any sort of relation to one another.
The whole time I'm playing, I'd be like, this doesn't make any sense.
So I'm sharing something, Bill. Can you?
Yeah.
I need to stop sharing. Go for it.
So these things aren't cheap.
No, it's a
no. That's a
title.
typical game cost now, but yeah. So
it's a AAA title.
Yeah, and to Seth's point, so you're saying that what Nintendo announced at the event was they're moving on to the third release of this now?
Yeah, in September. So now I've got a time clock going on me. I have to finish playing Xenoblade Chronicles 1. I have to finish playing the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 through another time, and I've got to play the expansion, Torna the Golden Kingdom.
Oh my God.
So I've got to do all that before September.
That and still fit in all of your streaming needs and
work.
No rest for the wicked. Well, let me ask you this question. You guys, both as Seth and Chris as avid gamers, because Linda and I we don't do a whole lot of gaming. We've got a PS3.
I think we played Pong once.
Well, no, I think the last game we played was Halo 3.
Long time ago. Yeah.
Really? Halo. Okay.
Yeah.
Shut up.
No, that's not true. We did play that Portal game.
Okay.
I
Yeah, that
didn't
makes
With
sense.
that.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll finish.
Anyway, so my question was, or is, if someone were interested in getting into gaming today, maybe they wanted a console system to play with, siblings or friends or housemates, whatever the case may be, what would you guys recommend?
Chris, do you mind if I
I've got a couple. Go ahead.
So once again, it depends entirely on what you want to play. You've already got what you want to play right there. That's your game system. Linda held up a phone with a game she's playing on it. Playing now as opposed to paying attention to the podcast. And
Right.
shame her away.
I wanted to show an example.
So each of the systems kind of has a demographic they appeal to. Nintendo's is a lot more family friendly. They have a lot more cooperative games that are good for all ages. Both Sony and Microsoft, their systems are much more the high end systems. So, I mean, an Xbox, a current gen Xbox is going to run you twice as much as a Switch, but it's going to have better graphics if that's something you care about.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, if you're just wanting to get in and like you're buying your first system, $300 for a Switch is a lot easier to swallow than $600 for a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, and that's if you can find either of those systems.
And that's more portable, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
the
I mean,
Switch-
I never, that's one of the reasons I think we never really used our PlayStation 3 or even our Xbox that much, is you had to commit time in front of a TV screen to do it. And I'd rather just take it with me on the road.
Yeah, so the Switch, the reason it's called the Switch is because it's got a dock. You just pop it into the dock and then it's up on the screen. And you just take it out of the dock and then you're playing in handheld mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will add a couple of things though. The Xbox and the PlayStation, they're around like $500, but there is another option that's coming here soon from Steam, actually called the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So if you're into PC gaming and you need to be mobile, there's actually a really good option for the bang for buck that you get versus trying to buy, let's say, a gaming PC. But if you're into a lot of the Steam game library that they have, which helps a ton in terms of cost management because there's always sales. The games tend to be a little bit cheaper.
Right.
You can buy a Steam Deck for I think $399, $499 price range. The performance has actually been pretty great. And it's basically, their target isn't PC gaming or console gaming. It's directly targeted, in my opinion anyways, the Nintendo Switch. So if you want to get out of the Nintendo ecosystem or you're not really into that and you want to have more, I'd say more choice, but you want to have a broad range of games available that maybe you could find on a PC, there's also the Steam Deck. So, and with that hardware, you could potentially do a little bit more than just run Steam's OS on there. Maybe something more open source or Windows or something. Potentially, we'll find out more as it gets released here in the next couple months. But that's also another alternative out there if you're looking for something to get into it. So the reality is, depending on your budget, there's plenty of good options out there. There's really no bad option. So between $200 and $600, there's something for you.
It's really about what you want to play.
Yep.
Like, if you want to play the next Skyrim, like if Skyrim is your jam, or the Bethesda games, Fallout or anything like that, and you want to play the new ones coming out, you need a Microsoft Xbox Series S or Series X. They won't be coming out on other consoles. If you want to play Mario games, then it's Switch or nothing else.
Yeah.
I will.
I will point that out. On Nintendo, though, they are strictly only on Nintendo devices.
Yeah. And
there are other games that do end up cross console.
And that is a major strength of the Switch and Nintendo, is that their first party, their own produced games are extremely strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you get a Nintendo game, you're getting a good game. Like, they are able to kind of still put their seal of Nintendo quality on the games they make themselves.
Agreed.
So if you like strategy, you've got Fire Emblem. If you want sci-fi and a platformer, there's Metroid Dread. If you want something fantasy and RPG, you've got Xenoblade. If you want something that's just fun, a fun platformer, the Mario entries are hard to beat. If you want something that's good to play with a group, they've got Mario Party and Smash Brothers. And for esports, they've got Splatoon.
They've even got fitness stuff out there.
Oh, yeah.
For working out. Yep. With accessories, they have that wheel, the Nintendo wheel or whatever that you can use. It's kind of...
Yeah, with the Switch Fit or whatever it is.
Yeah, something like that.
Ring Fit.
Either way, yeah, Ring Fit. Yeah, so they have a Ring Fit program,
which is a good workout. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, we just got one actually. So it's like we have it. So
that
it's very versatile in what it can do. So aside from the quality of the games, it's a good household thing.
I have a financial advisor. I feel like I need a game advisor now.
I'm happy to apply for the position. I can find something you'll like.
Awesome. All right. Well, anything else to wrap it up?
Yeah. Speaking of Portal, Portal and Portal 2 are coming to the Switch.
Oh.
Relatively soon.
Yeah, that'll be big for them.
Nice.
So if you've never played Portal or Portal 2, they are fantastic games.
They are fantastic games.
Portal... No, you can't have my Switch. He can't play on my Switch. He can play with his droids.
But if you got Portal 2 on the Switch, he could play with you.
Uh-oh.
Right.
They've got a cooperative mode that Jenna assures me is super fun.
Huh. All right. Well, we'll have to look into that, sounds like.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, let's see. On another note, we'll switch gears a little bit. We've got a little bit of Star Trek news this week. Let me put this up on the screen here real quick. Dun, dun, dun. Here it comes. All right. So, Star Trek's Starfleet Academy series is allegedly in production.
Allegedly.
So production doesn't necessarily mean that they're shooting with cast and crew yet, but most likely maybe working on scripts or possibly maybe starting design of environments. It's going to be at Starfleet Academy, and I fairly certain that it's going to involve Ensign Tilly from Star Trek Discovery. Interestingly, a few episodes ago, we saw her leave the USS Discovery to go teach at Starfleet Academy. And in fact, there was one episode there where she was leading a group of Starfleet cadets that needed a little bit of help sort of learning to work together across species. So she took them out on what was supposed to be a simple little adventure, and it turned into kind of a life-threatening type of adventure, as these things typically do.
A 3-hour tour.
Yeah, right.
3-hour tour.
Right. Pretty much. So Anyway, so she after that she decided to leave the ship because she felt that her calling was teaching at Starfleet Academy. And I think this has got the potential for being a really interesting show, because I'm assuming that it's got to be, since Tilly's going to be there at Starfleet Academy, that this show is taking place 900 years in the future. And at that point in time, there really was no Federation. The Federation kindly dissolved due to the burn, where dilithium across the galaxy exploded. Any dilithium that was in use was instantly destroyed, along with the starships or whatever spaceships were using it. So as a result, there was no warp travel, and Starfleet kind of shrunk down to just a few member worlds, and there was no Starfleet Academy. So now that they've gotten dilithium back, they figured out what caused the burn and put an end to that, things can kind of get back to normal. And so we saw with Tilly in this show, we saw her with kind of one of these first groups, the first class to go through the new Starfleet Academy. So it will be really interesting, in my opinion, to see this whole thing kind of come together and how they build up this, what we know as a venerable institution where they teach, all the Federation officers. And so it'll be kind of fun. I think there will be a lot of cool stories that they can tell there, and a lot of interesting adventures along the way. And new species will probably meet, because basically every member world in Starfleet will try to send folks to Starfleet Academy so that they can serve somewhere on a starship. So
question, Bill. We were also expecting another show a while back, I thought, and I saw in the article it's been delayed. The Section 31,
yes,
related ones.
Right.
Is there a reason why there's been delays there, or has it just been other stuff going on in the world related, or?
Yeah, I think there's been other stuff going on. Mostly it's been a number of other Star Trek series that they wanted to get out. And so we've got the second season of Star Trek Picard, and we've got the first season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So Star Trek Picard starts March 3rd, I think it is. And then Strange New Worlds starts in May, early part of May. And so now we're going to have 3 live action Star Trek series going on at the same time. And from what I remember seeing is that the next series in the pipeline is this Star Trek Section 31 series, which deals with this covert clandestine organization, right? And that's Michelle Yeoh, I think, has been tapped, or I know has been tapped to be the lead of that series. And those that watch Star Trek Discovery will recall the last time we saw Michelle Yeoh, or as Emperor Georgiou, she was having trouble adjusting to life 900 years in the future, because your genetic makeup can either handle time travel or it can handle parallel universe.
I recall she was having episodes off and on there,
where she was starting to dissolve and fade out. But you can't handle both time, a parallel universe jump and a huge time jump like that. So fortunately, they found the Guardian of Forever, and the Guardian of Forever tested Michelle Yeoh and found her worthy of help and sent her off into space and time. So we don't know where she's come out yet, but good suspicion is that she's back in the same time frame as what we're going to see Strange New Worlds be in, with Christopher Pike and them, because the guy that played Voke, or Ash Tyler, that character, he's supposed to be in it as well. And we know that he's back in that time frame with Christopher Pike. So I think the cool thing there is that there'll be some opportunity for some cross shows where they interact with each other in different means. So it'll be also an interesting show, because what we know now of the time frame of Christopher Pike, it seems like most people are familiar with Section 31.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time of the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Voyager,
Right.
Section 31 is really a highly clandestine organization without many people knowing about it. And it kind of works well behind the scenes of the Federation. So that organization is going to get retooled. And I think Michelle Yeoh is going to be obviously majorly involved in doing that. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves. But
yeah, there's a lot coming out. It sounds like hopefully it's not too much to where the quality suffers or we end up having to cancel things, because you're right. That is a lot of new Star Trek to start throwing out there. So you gotta wonder.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And of course they have the 2 new animated series that are also going on at the same time. Star Trek Lower Decks and Star Trek Prodigy. Right. So we've got 5 Star Trek series that are currently in production, in some state of production, and this Star Trek Starfleet Academy would be the 6th. Now there was an interview with the guy that's the head of programming, I think, for CBS Paramount, and his statement was that Paramount's goal is to have a new Star Trek episode of some series airing every week going into the future. So that would mean that there's enough shows in production that there is never a gap where a series is on hiatus and you don't have a new Star Trek to watch. So
don't cancel.
That's extremely ambitious.
Yes.
Don't cancel your Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're going for. Is like, okay, we've got this thing that we know people subscribe to this for. We can't let there ever be a time where there's no new Star Trek, or else people will drop it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if that's your cash cow, then rake it in. And you know what? I would sign up for that myself, and I would keep it. So it's working.
There's Michelle Yeoh and a little article on the Section 31. So, folks can get out on the internet and Google it and see what the latest news is on Section 31. But I think that's it. They're kind of working on getting there. And part of the additional problem, besides the fact that they've been busy gearing up already a number of new shows, is that Michelle Yeoh herself is quite a popular actor and is in a lot of new shows also. So they're having to work around her schedule a bit as well. So
yeah, she's kind of reaching superstar status.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think she's in the isn't there like a Witcher spinoff or something that she's supposed to be in? Maybe it's a pre-Witcher thing. I can't remember what it's called.
Was she in The Witcher, the new season of The Witcher?
No, but I think this is a prequel series or something that I saw an ad for. Maybe Linda can find that while we're chatting here. But anyway, she's very, very busy, which is good for her. She's a great actress, and God, I just loved to see her in Discovery, because she was just so badass. It was awesome.
She's got we've talked about this before, but she's got a new movie coming out called Everything Everywhere All at Once that looks really, really good.
That looked pretty interesting.
What's that about? Do you guys know?
It's a
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, so it's a multiverse movie.
Come on, Bill, in the name.
So basically 42.
It is a multiverse movie where Michelle Yeoh has a character or whatever. She has a duplicate in every universe, and she is the only person in her character in whatever universe this is happening in is the only person anywhere who can tap into the lives and experiences of their counterparts.
It looks good.
All their counterparts. So it
sounds like a quantum leap taken to the next level.
Sounds more like The One taken to the next level, if you've ever seen that one.
That's Jet.
Yeah,
Li?
it's a Jet Li.
Yeah. With infinite Jet Lis.
Yeah, the story in the one, and it's that I really like the one. It's the same kind of setup, except that in the multiverse, when one of your duplicates gets killed, their power gets distributed to all the surviving duplicates of you. And so there were one of Jet Li's duplicates has been going around the multiverse killing all the other Jet Li's, so that all the power had been like concentrated down into the evil version of him and the good version of him, and then whoever like killed the other one would attain like godhood or whatever.
Yeah, it was. If you were a huge fan of Jet Li and just wanted more Jet Li, that was the movie to watch for sure. I have a scene, if someone could pull that up, from that Everything All at Once. It gets some pretty gnarly fight scenes in there, some craziness, but it looks like it was going to be an extremely fun movie.
Yeah, it looks very weird and very fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
I found
actually...
that. Sorry, I found that series that I was talking about.
Yeah,
it's called
The Witcher Blood Origin.
Yeah. So it's an elven world, 1,200 years before the time of Geralt of Rivia. It's a world of monsters, men, and elves that merge.
That sounds pretty good.
Shit. Yeah, but anyway, there is a trailer out for it on YouTube, and it looks really good. So, and Michelle Yeoh is in that as the lead, I think. So,
I have a screen share you can put out there, and you can see just how busy Michelle Yeoh is right now. She's got
Avatar.
Avatar 4 or 5.
You can blow that up a little bit, Linda. It's hard to read.
How do I make that any bigger?
Control mouse wheel.
Control mouse wheel.
Avatar 3, 4, and 5. It still amazes me that there are going to be so many of these Avatar films.
Yeah.
It keeps getting bigger.
Like the first, Avatar was fine.
Oh dear.
But I don't think it was anything that should have spawned off so many sequels.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think it's ambitious. I think they've just kind of thrown that out there, but realistically, I don't know what they're thinking with that. So, but we have a lot of other stuff that's coming out too. Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
From I think
Amazon.
Is that Amazon? Yeah, we have that coming. They've released some shots of that recently.
And so that's a series, essentially a Lord of the Rings series. So is it take place the same time as the movies that we've seen, and is it the same?
It's more of a prequel. Covering Galadriel.
Oh, okay.
Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power.
Yeah, so this is thousands of years before.
This would probably be about when the rings were forged.
Yeah,
leading up to the Great War.
Right.
With Sauron.
Right. Wow, that sounds really good as well.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got some screens here of that, and I'll scroll through this page here real quick.
This is really awesome. I think we live in a golden age of science fiction and fantasy programming right now.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
What they're coming out with these days is amazing. We'd always hope to see things that they attempted, 30, 40 years ago get remade or just done later on. And now that we're here, it's easier for them to make it. And there's so many cool things they can do with it. And here we are.
The technology is just so advanced with what they can do. And
do you think a lot of this spun off of Game of Thrones and its success?
Could be, yeah.
Because I feel like before Game of Thrones, I don't remember that much choice in this kind of shows. Yeah. And now it's like nuts.
Yeah, Game of Thrones kind of set up the whole epic fantasy TV show.
Yeah.
That was,
and the interest in it, I think, is really what helped drive it home that there is something here. that they can do. It's not like it has to be low budget, but if you actually put the effort in,
Right.
make it good and they will come.
Well,
I think it even goes back.
said it's $1 billion
Yeah,
that they're putting into it, so it's not cheap.
I would argue that it goes back even further than that to the show Lost, because I think that was one of the first. Yeah, because it was a fantasy series, right? Sort of sci-fi-ish, but fantasy. You had the smoke monster, and you had. I mean, it wasn't medieval fantasy times or
that's true.
Lord of the Ring fantasy, but it was a fantasy world. Sort of a magical island that could disappear and reappear anywhere on Earth.
But
it was still very much TV production standards, though. Like
it was what they would typically do. Still,
yeah.
Well, it was the best they could do at the time because there wasn't any.
Well, no, there weren't any streaming services,
right?
And like they weren't competing for eyeballs like they are now,
right?
Like there were other series before Lost that did a continuous story. Babylon 5 being the first I can think of, and then Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, yeah.
Like genre fiction has always kind of wanted to tell these continuous long stories, but it couldn't really do that when, or it had a lot of trouble doing that when week to week someone might miss an episode and just not be able to get caught up.
Right.
But I'm gonna say that I still kind of think that Game of Thrones was the first one that really did kind of a cinematic quality.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So we have another film coming out too called The Adam Project, starring Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
that looks fun. That's another Netflix.
Got a couple of screens to show with that one. I got one here, but this is basically from what I gathered watching the trailer. I don't have like the full lowdown and what the plot is supposed to be, but from what we gather, somehow the kid you see here, Ryan Reynolds, plays the future version of him that crash lands on Earth from the future, presumably. What he's doing there, we're not sure, but it's clear that something's going on. We see enemies. We see Ryan Reynolds fighting with this cool dual wielding, or what do you call the double-sided
lightsaber?
Lightsaber kind of thing. But I thought there was a name for the weapon, and it escapes me right now. Almost like a Darth Maul is. Almost like what Darth Maul's running around with. It's got a laser that kind of comes out both ends, but you see Ryan Reynolds having some action-packed fighting going on in there and stuff. So looks like it'll be pretty interesting. Also looks like it'll be pretty funny. He's got his normal quips. Sounds like the kid does as well.
Yeah.
In the trailer, the kid's like, gets suspended from school from fighting again. And, the mother's calling him out on it. Hey, you can't keep getting suspended for fighting. And so, yeah, you'd think I'd be good at it by now. His face is all like bashed in,
Right. So adventure comedy?
Yeah, something of that nature. So I think I'm looking forward to this sci-fi future kind of thing. From some headlines, they say, think Back to the Future when you look at that. I don't know if I would say that just yet, because Back to the Future was, that trilogy did some pretty unique things. And it's pretty iconic. So that remains to be seen. I didn't, when I look at the trailer, I didn't think anything Back to the Future. I'm like, we have so many movies that deal with time travel, and we don't say, hey, that reminds me of Back to the Future. So what people got out of that from the trailer, I don't know. But I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah. How nice would it be if like you were 10 years old and then you find out the future version of you is Ryan Reynolds? Right. Nice.
Right. Well, when I watched the trailer, one of the things that caught my eye that I thought was pretty cool is he's got this basically a time ship, spaceship type of a thing, right? And we see in part of the trailer, they stand on something that looks like kind of like a hoverboard, but it just lifts them up into the spaceship, and then they go flying off, and he tells the kid, hang on, because we're going for it. And the kid says, what? And then he hits the throttle, and the kid's just thrown to the back of the thing, right?
Yep.
But then he fires like a torpedo or a missile or something that detonates and creates this time
like
vortex.
some kind of wormhole thing.
Yeah,
that he flies
that
into.
he flies into. So that looked pretty cool. So I'm kind of looking forward to finding out more about how that whole thing works.
Yeah, so it looks like the plot of the movie is they're looking for the kid and Ryan Reynolds' dad.
Yeah.
Who is Paul Rudd? Not Paul Rudd.
No, the other guy.
Yeah, the guy who plays the Hulk.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark
Ruffalo.
Ruffalo. Yeah. And it's also got a couple other actors in there too. Jennifer Garner.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's quite a few stars in there, and Zoe Salad. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the names, but anyways, you know these actors, and it should be pretty good. Starfleet film. The other trailer I saw recently was actually not really a specific movie trailer. It was released from DC, called "The World Needs Heroes." So it covered the new Batman coming out, Aquaman, Black Adam, and I think maybe one more film was covered in there, and The Flash. So it's kind of a compilation. It's about like a minute and a half. Mixes a bunch of scenes from there to some epic music or whatever. But basically say, hey, here's what you have to look forward to for 2022.
Yeah, that's a lot of DC movies in 2022.
It is. If you're a DC fan, I'm a DC fan. There is still a lot coming. It all looks really good. So DC is still working on continuing building out their world. So we'll see what they can do this year with it.
Sweet.
And that trailer kind of hints at a tonal shift away from the Zack Snyder stuff to the more what have been their more successful movies that are much more kind of in line with MCU stuff, where they have fun and aren't just sad and gray.
Well, I still say it. I still like Justice League.
I know. I'm still trying to pick a fight with you, Chris. Okay, that didn't work. Bitcoin sucks.
Bitcoin does suck, though. Bitcoin does suck.
Don't start that.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff that's coming out this year. We've got The Boys season 3 is going to be coming out. Summer, I think.
Not for kids.
That's gonna be brutal.
Oh my God, that'll be so brutal. Have you guys been watching Peacemaker?
No, not yet. It is on my short list. I was just talking to a friend about it last night. And
I was too. Talking to.
He said it was excellent.
Josh Cato stopped by this morning for a little bit, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, you really got to watch it. It's awesome."
Yeah, I hear that John Cena is just having a grand old time with that show, or had a grand old time with that show, because it just looks like he embraced that character wholly and just had fun with it.
Yeah, he's really. I was talking about John Cena to the friend we were talking about Peacemaker, and I was pointing out that he's really grown as an actor, much like Dwayne Johnson did from where they started to where they're at now. Even better in some respects, I think, than Dwayne Johnson. Just in Peacemaker has really shown how, like to your point, Seth, he's embraced that role down to the point where sometimes I don't know how he keeps a straight face on screen with the things that comes out of his mouth. So,
the new Suicide Squad, where he met Peacemaker, he was so good in that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I love peace, and I'll kill anyone I need to get it.
All right,
and Stranger Things season 3?
Yep.
Season 4. Season 3's already out.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, can you believe? Yeah, I'm looking at something here. It's been almost 3 years since we last saw those.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch.
The first 3 seasons, because they've got to be. They're gonna be much older now. There's got to be a time jump.
Apparently, according to what I'm reading here, the Byers family has moved to California in an attempt to leave the Upside Down behind.
Oh no! And
good luck with that.
That's got to be bad news.
I don't think you can escape the Upside Down. I think that's a rule.
No, you don't escape that.
Oh yeah, and remember the poor sheriff, David Hopper, is in a Russian gulag somewhere, right?
Yes, working on a railway or something. Yeah.
3 years in a Russian gulag. That's a long time.
That's weird.
And then House of Dragon, which is, speaking of Game of Thrones, is also coming out with the 11th Doctor, Matt
Smith.
Yeah, he's going to be playing a lead role in that. He's like the
One of the
Targaryen family. Yeah. So that should be really good. So yeah, a lot of
and speaking of Doctor Who, Around the World in 80 Days is now streamable. Yay!
Ooh.
On Prime Video and Apple TV.
Oh, nice.
And we had to wait a while because I wasn't going to do the PBS and I didn't want to do Masterpiece, and it was over in Britain, but finally it's streamable. Yay!
So for those of our audience who don't know what's Around the World in 80 Days, like is that a Doctor Who thing?
No,
or the actual story.
It's just kind of the same. It's a Victorian period thing, right?
It's a steampunky themed.
Okay,
movie.
so this is the Orson Welles Around the World in 80 Days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or not H.G. Wells. Sorry.
Right.
H.G.
H.G. Wells. It's Around the World as opposed to War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
I think the last time I remember anybody being in an Around the World in 80 Days was David Niven back in the 60s or 70s. So this is good. This is good.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of cool stuff coming out. I'm very excited. Like we said, golden age of science fiction and fantasy.
Yay!
Oh, and listeners,
no.
listen up.
Quick correction.
Yes.
Around the World in 80 Days is Jules Verne.
Verne, right.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Listen up, listeners. We next Saturday evening at 7 p.m. Central Time are going to be doing a live stream. After Dark special After Dark episode, live streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And we are going to be reviewing a very interesting movie that Seth, Linda, and I watched last night. And Chris is going to be checking it out here too
With
this
Stu
week.
Burns.
And we're going to have special guest Stu Burns is going to be joining us. This is a horror film, and it's unique in the perspective that the 40-minute horror film was filmed in a single take, single cut.
It's called One Cut of the Dead.
What's that?
It's called One Cut of the Dead.
One Cut of the Dead. So if you want to get all of our inside jokes that night as we're talking about the show and not have any spoilers, you might want to try to take that in this week. It's on Shudder Network, and you can actually get a free 7-day trial of Shudder right now. And no, they're not paying us to say that. They're not paying for advertising here.
Although they should.
But they could.
They could. We would certainly accept their endorsement if they wanted to be on the show.
Unfortunately, Bill.
Yes.
I hate to interrupt you, but at the time this episode airs, the live stream will have been the previous weekend.
Oh my God, you're right.
We should have done this on the last episode if you wanted to plug it.
We should have.
So
or switch the order.
Well, yeah. We'll have to do some. If you want this notice going out, we're going to have to change.
Right.
We'll figure it out.
Well, we can do that.
Live recording, people. This is no script. No scripts. No one knows what we're doing.
Well, it keeps it. We believe in keeping it real here on Galactic.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, anything else to wrap it up?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listeners, if any of you out there have something that you'd like us to watch and review and talk about, or if you have a favorite gaming system that maybe we didn't mention that you'd like to share with everyone else, let us know in the comments section. As always, you can check us out. This episode and past episodes are all archived on our website, galacticdriftwood.space. And you can check out our partner podcasters on the synergynation.net network. That's synnation.net. So anyway, thank you all for listening. We hope you'll tune in. And if this actually airs after our live After Dark show, we hope you did tune in, and we hope you enjoyed it. So anyway, take care and have a great week, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.